How do you do, fellow trainers? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be diving into my first draft video on the channel. This is going to be for the Natdex Area Champions League, or the NACL. And I want to thank Youngster Joey, give a big shout out to him for allowing me to put this on my channel as my first draft league on this channel. I'm so excited to get to draft content with y'all. Before we get into the deep dive of my team and the picks and why I chose them, I just want to ask everybody to like the video, comment what team member on my team is your favorite, and also subscribe so you know when I put out new draft videos or any new videos on the channel. This should be going up Saturday EST, and then each week of the draft should go up around Sunday morning EST. So without further ado, let's get into my picks and see why I chose them. So who is my draft team and what is this draft league about? So I am your Chapel Hill Palfins coach, Chris Ramsino, and today we're going to be going over my draft review for the Natdex Little Cup League. I have never done a Natdex Little Cup draft or even battled a Natdex Little Cup on the ladder. I have done one Little Cup draft before, and it was my first foray into it, and I didn't do too bad, but I didn't do too well. So I'm hoping to take what I learned from the first Little Cup and turn it around with this new team. And so as we go into this unexplored, uncharted land, territory, I would like to show you why I picked them, what I picked, and my position in the draft, and how I use that to tailor my picks. So the first pick was Zora Hisui. This one is a great Pokemon to start with. It was pricey, but I wanted it because not only is it a normal ghost type, the only normal ghost type, it gets 3 immunities. It gets immunity to normal, ghost, and fighting. And with the illusion ability, it can pretend to be any Pokemon on the party as long as it's in the back of the party. So for example, if I have my Snubbull in the back of the party, which is a fairy type, and my opponent wants to hit me with a poison type move, which is super effective on Snubbull, he'll actually be hitting Zorua, who, because of being a ghost type, resists poison, so it won't do as much damage. These type of mind games is what Zorua does best, and I'm so excited to use it. I could use it as a sash lead into a nasty plot setup and start taking lives that way. I could use it Scarf to make it look like it's a slow Pokemon like Toadschool, and then just outspeed it and kill it when it's not thinking it is. Me having Hisui and Zorua makes it where my opponent has to have that little thing in the back of their head that says, that could be Zorua. So with that being said, I'm going to be able to use this to my advantage to turn the matchup on its head if I'm in a tough spot. So for that, Zorua was my first pick, and to pair that, I chose my really good buddy from my Little Cup draft. This was the best Pokemon I drafted out of that, and I decided to keep that going because Quaxly is a monster. So what drew me to Quaxly my first Little Cup draft was because I needed a Rapid Spinner. But then I realized quickly that this is a physical sweeping threat with the ability Moxie that it gets, and the ability to set up with Rapid Spin to get a speed boost and then start walloping things with like Brave Bird and Liquidation. We can take that even further and get a Moxie sweep out of nowhere. He is a underrated duck. I really think that he's going to shine even in a Natdex environment. I really believe in Quaxly, and that's why I made sure I drafted him alongside Zorua, so I would have a physical threat, because I would not get another pick for another 14, another like 20 rounds or so, because it goes back up the ladder. So I was very happy to get these two, and that led to my third pick, Hisuian Voltorb. So I chose Hisuian Voltorb for a couple reasons, but one big one is it is the fastest Natdex Little Cup Mon, or any Dex Little Cup Mon. At base 100 speed, it is it and its Cantonian counterpart are the only two that are at the top of the speed tiers in Natdex Little Cup. I never used Hisui Voltorb in my past draft, but I really wanted to. It got sniped early, so I went with Elekid. Elekid was the second highest at 95 base speed. So I know how good a fast electric type is, especially in this tier where all of these stats are kind of mediocre, except for the ones like Voltorb, where it has exceedingly good speed, or it's built completely great into one stat. So there's another couple reasons for Voltorb being here. So first of all, it's a great pivot. Volt switch to get out of there and do some damage with choice spec sets. Then, because of Voltorb Hisui having grass moves, I'm not scared by ground types. Unfortunately, I don't get Chloroblast, but I do get Leaf Storm, Energy Ball, and even Giga Drain, and Grass Knot. There are many ways for me to abuse the ground switching to Voltorb with the grass moves. And then the last point I wanted to make about Voltorb is it also gets access to Thunder Wave, and as being the fastest Pokemon in the tier, shooting out Thunder Wave, speed control is pretty much taken care of. So the fourth pick that I got to pair with Voltorb was Snubbull. So Snubbull is here because I needed a defensive answer to physical threats on my opponent's side of the field. And you're saying, Chris, why did you choose Snubbull of all Pokemon? It's not a steel type. It doesn't have exceptional bulk. And you're right. But with Little Cup, I noticed stat bonuses and stat drops matter incrementally more than regular OU or any form of standard draft play. So with the ability Intimidate, Snubbull really snubs the opponent's physical advantage. You can use sets with Rocky Helmet like I've got here to take chip damage off of them. You can also do leftovers with like a curse strategy to make it physically invulnerable. There's also he can be one of my Eviolites captains. So in this draft, I should say, you can only use Eviolite 2 times on your team in one battle. So you can only have 2 members of the team with Eviolite in the same battle. You can switch them between each other week, but they have to only have 2 Eviolites on your team. So Snubbull might become one of those, but like I said, I'm okay with maybe trying leftovers or Rocky Helmet. Also, Snubbull has great coverage. He gets all the Fang moves. He gets Play Rough for stab. He gets Earthquake for coverage. I mean, he gets a lot. This is my utility, like, kitchen sink defensive Pokemon. I'm really excited to use it. I'm really excited to see what Snubbull will do. I did have him in my previous Little Cup draft, and he did well there. But let's see if I can focus a little more love and attention to this dog and see if he can get me some wins this season. So next up, I already had my speed for my Voltorb and my defensive answer in Snubbull, so I needed something specially defensive. And Toadschool has a base 100 special defense. This is really, really going to come in clutch. It's also a ground resist, which I really needed. And Toadschool has access to 2 things that I really wanted in well, 3 things actually I wanted in this draft. So it's another Rapid Spinner. It takes some of the load off of Quaxley so he doesn't have to, pledge his allegiance to that move every week. It also gets Spike support, and it gets everyone's favorite move, Spore. Spore is allowed in this because it is Little Cup. I am excited for that because I play Gen 9 OU and stuff where I can't use sleep moves. So I'm excited to use Spore. My opponents may not be so excited about that. But Toadschool is really going to show its strength here. Mycelium Might, I've heard, is bad. Like I said, I've never used it, but we'll see how bad it is. But I really believe in Toadschool. I mean, it's doing God's work. Sitting there and putting things to sleep. So yeah, that was Toadschool. I'm really excited about this. It brings up an ice weakness, but my next 2 picks are resistant to ice. happy synergy, but I wasn't really thinking about it, but I'm glad in retrospect. Next, we had Fuecoco to pair this, so I chose Fuecoco not to keep all the Scarlet Violet starters, because I'm not getting Sprigatito. I got Fuecoco because of two things. It gets Unaware, and it gets Will-O-Wisp. Maybe not two things. I should stop saying two things, and Slack Off. So, it is going to be the Quagsire of Little Cup. I think that's the more appropriate term. I could say Skilders, but I prefer Quagsire. He just sits there, looks at you dumb, and takes all the hits, and you can't get him down. So Will-O-Wisp to burn physical threat. Slack Off to just sit there unaware, so I don't lose to stat buffs or increases. It's also got pretty good coverage as well. It's got Zen Headbutt. It's got Stomping Tantrum. It gets Seed Bomb. Why does a fire type get Seed Bomb? But I don't know why, but it does. So, really excited to use Fuecoco as well as my Unaware Stallmon. Pretty excited just to sit there, burn people, and sleep. Slack off. Be lazy. So like I said, I mentioned that this one was Ice Resist, so it comes back around and I get two more picks. So I go to Citadel. So I chose Citadel because of what the greatest Pokemon philosopher of our time, Blunder, said. Every team should have a priority move at all times. And I agree with that. And so when I was thinking about all the possible priority moves that I could use, like Fake Out, Mach Punch, stuff like that, I really wanted Ice Shard. And the reason I wanted Ice Shard is because there are a good amount of ice weaknesses. Ice is very good offensively. So I wanted to do Frigibax to begin with. But, you know, being a Dragon Ice type, I was like, oh, he definitely gets Ice Shard. Frigibax doesn't get Ice Shard. And I was so heartbroken. But I then looked around and I was like, oh, well, Citadel is about the same points. Maybe I should grab that. And it gets Ice Shard. But then I was also thinking, wait a minute. It also gets Belly Drum. It also gets great coverage moves like Earthquake and Play Rough. So I started thinking, wait a minute, should we try to get some Titan sweeps in Lil Cup? But small problem with that. Citadel doesn't get Slush Rush. Only Titan does. And I was a little more heartbroken after that. But then I started thinking about the positives that Citadel can bring. Like, I already mentioned the happy synergy of the Ice Resist back-to-back with Fuecoco and Citadel. It goes even further with that because I do have technically two grass types on the team, the Voltorb and the Toedscool. Citadel with Thick Fat quad resists ice moves. So it's a great switch in, and it's a great mon to want to switch in, because if you're able to switch it in on something that wants to switch out, you can get a Belly Drum off. And an Ice Shard Belly Drum is still enough to knock opponents out left and right. It also has Sheer Force, so we can do Sheer Force Life Orb sets and start doing damage that way. I really want to get, this is going to be my, like, ace in the hole sweeper, whereas, like, Quaxley, I intend to use it as much as possible, and the opponent is going to have to make calculated risks to get Quaxley off the board. But with Citadel, if it sets up, there's nothing they can do about it. So that's my thought process with Citadel. I next up chose to do, I needed a little more defense. I felt that I was literally, because all Little Cup moms feel like fragile, but I chose Shieldon. The reason I chose Shieldon, I do not have a Stealth Rocker yet, and it also is a pretty good defensive typing in Rock Steel minus fighting and everything. But for fighting ground, there's two quad weaknesses. Fighting, I can switch into Snubbull or Zorora. Snubbull resisting fighting, and Zorora immune to fighting. So I did keep checks there. As far as the ground, you'll see that I picked up a ground immunity later, plus I already have Toad School to help me with the ground problem. We can also circumvent that with an air balloon, which is, not a hard thing to do. Air balloon, set up stealth rocks. It does its best heat train impression. So yeah, stealth rocks wasn't the only thing. I wanted the defensive stats of it, and also I thought that this set looks absolutely awful. It doesn't have to be Iron Head, but it can be an attacking move like Protect or something. But Roar Toxic Stealth Rocks. Need I say more? This is going to be the most annoying Shieldon that you've ever seen in your life. And I can't finish the statement on Shieldon without glossing over this 118 base defense. So for my last two picks of the draft, I wanted to fill some of the niches I didn't feel were covered by the rest of the team, and also just give some more backup to those archetypes in the draft. So I was looking at what was left, and I wanted something that could switch in to most attacks and not be two-shot by them. And also, subsequently, I wanted something that could stop setup mons. And, either defensively with bulking up all the way where I can't do enough damage, or they get too far ahead with Sword Stances and Nasty Plots, and I just get sweeped. So, with the Pokemon that were left, I chose Alolan Grimer. Alolan Grimer has one of the best, if not the best type combination of Poison Dark, with only one weakness being Earthquake, or Ground. Same thing, ground typing. But, I also think Alolan Grimer is a great stall breaker, and this is why. So I'm just going to read off a couple of these moves that Grimer gets. Clear Smog, Toxic, Pain Split, Disable, Taunt. Like, this Pokemon is everything I need in a utility mon to just sit there, throw my sludge on the field, and let it just wreak havoc while it sits there and smiles with its little garbage beard it's got going on. So with that, the last thing I added to my team, I wanted something that is, I needed another ground immunity or weak resistance, and just because I added Shieldon and Grimer, that's another Earthquake problem. So I wanted to get a flying type, and I chose to get Starly. Unfortunately, I wanted Tailo, but Tailo was way more points than I had left, unfortunately. And so I chose Starly because it can do its best Staraptor cosplay. And it does, unlike Citadel, get Reckless. It gets the good ability that Staraptor has. It doesn't get Intimidate, which is fine, but it does get Reckless, which means we can still do Brave Bird, Double Edge, U-Turn, and it doesn't get Close Combat, but it does get, I think it still gets Steel Wing. Yeah, so we can run this with like a Scarf or a Band, and just start Brave Birding for game. I've done that many a time in drafts before. But also, it has access to two important support moves, such as Defog and Tailwind for speed manipulation. So, with that, I'm really confident about my team's ability to get rid of hazards. I've got two spinners in Quaxley and Toad School, and I've got a Defogger in Starly. I also have speed control with Voltorb for Thunder Wave, and Tailwind from Starly. So that's the team, and I'm pretty pumped to go ahead and get our first game done. This will be uploaded, the first game should be uploaded Sunday morning EST. I really hope you guys will tune in to this draft. I also want to go ahead and give another big shout out to Youngster Joey and the NACL for allowing me to put these on my channel and hopefully grow the draft community, because I think drafting is one of the funnest ways to play Pokemon. And I hope you guys like this type of content, because I will continue to keep draft content as another pillar of this channel. So guys, that's going to be it. Please, again, I know you're tired of YouTuber begging, but please like, comment, and subscribe so you know when these videos go up. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Y'all have a blessed day.